talking around town about how the children were getting cancer, and it was the same type of cancer, and it seemed odd. And at the time I was taking epidemiology classes and other classes at Georgetown for my degree. That's sort of the crossover between environmental consulting and medical applications. So I was really aware of what constituted a cluster, and I thought it seemed to me like it did. So I reported it to the state. The subcommittee investigation has been very, very effective. I think over time, in terms of what's happened before we got involved, it's probably in sort of a backseat mode where people weren't really paying attention to it. And I think we need to take a really fresh look at all the history, which is why I've done a ton of looking into all the historical files. There's nothing blocking the flow from the bottom of the landfill, and the massive amounts of pumping water at the golf course and the pumping of the Rye-Town wells is drawing the contamination away from Coakley. And as usual, Coakley was sited in one of the worst possible areas they could have put it, on top of a hill. So all the flow from the top of the hill goes in all directions away from the landfill. So everywhere around the landfill is possibly in danger of receiving contaminated water from the landfill. Right now we don't know if what we're seeing now with the emerging contaminants is an original source release, or is it a later reaching of containers contained in the landfill that is causing a second release condition. So that's something we need to find out, and we need to, so that we can estimate how fast it's traveling and where it's going. So the 5-year report to provide water to that 10-lot subdivision should extend to the people across the road, with 100 feet away from the subdivision, basically their well.
Why?
The closest one. Because if they think that there's a strong possibility that 10 wells will pull the plume from Coakley and cause a problem, then why not across the street, directly across the street, less than 100 feet away? Isn't that doing the same thing? And therefore, if they're supplying public water and not allowing that subdivision to be built with 10 wells, why doesn't that extend to the people across the street? Those watersheds, the surface water hasn't been sampled in sediment for a very long time, I think the late 80s. And, you know, based on my review of historical aerial photos now that I found yesterday, and all the historical data that I found, and the current situation with the trenches that still exist, in my opinion, that were historically there too, that delivered liquid material to those watersheds, really begs the question that, you know, we need to know what's in those watersheds, the full extent of their watersheds, and know when those flow through the neighborhoods where kids are playing in the backyards, are they being exposed to something along Berry Brook and Little River in those towns? You know, Bailey Brook is probably another one that's, we think, fracture connected to, it could connect directly to Coakley, but it certainly is connected to Rye-Town wells. So that's a question that we have that needs to be evaluated very soon, very quickly.